we're live. It's going to be a hell of a day today. I've got I actually have several comedians that are going to be joining me live today for a special Q&A video on my live fake talk show. Right now, from America's Got Talent, Frank Roche, who is going to be playing for a sold-out crowd this Saturday night, October 5th, Chippewa Falls, Sand Bar and Grill. Seth and the crew up there have done an amazing job of packing the house month after month with their grassroots comedy series going back like, I want to say 4 or 5 years now.
Wow.
So you're going to have a good time, Frank, and it's no holds barred, just like it is on the Facebook Live video. You know, I told you before we got started, these things reach a lot more people than even radio these days, and I think it's a hell of a lot more fun. Do you do a whole lot of radio or TV, or do you do clean, or like how crazy does the Frank Roche show get, and what types of venues do you usually bring it to?
Well, I do mostly comedy clubs and casinos, and I just got back from doing the Lancaster Performing Arts Center in Lancaster, California, and that was a week ago. And then last night I did a show at the St. Croix Casino, Danbury, in Wisconsin, and it's the average age is like 90 for the St. Croix Casino shows. So for those, I got to be clean, but for everything else, I get pretty wild. Same as you, Dog, you know?
Yes. You know, I don't hold back. I'm not an ageist. I don't hold back even if it is the average age of 90 in the crowd. You know what I say, Frank? Today's senior citizens were yesterday's hippies.
Yeah, this is true. This is true. I actually had a lady getting a cigarette with her oxygen tank right by the stage, and I thought, really, lady, you're going to take this fucking all out? But they get away with that at the casinos. They can do what they want.
Yeah, you can still smoke in the casinos. It's crazy.
Yeah. Do you remember the old days, leaving a comedy club or whatever club or bar, and you would just reek like cigarettes?
Yeah, I do remember that. And my wife used to get real bitchy about it, which, you know, justifiably so. There were some times when I would do like those 4 or 5 night runs, and you're doing maybe even 2 shows on Friday, 2 shows Saturday, and you can barely fucking talk afterwards sometimes.
Yeah, your throat's closing up. Because you've never really been a cigarette smoker, have you?
No, only the green stuff.
Yeah, same. So it's like, yeah, I've never messed with cigarettes.
No, and you know, it used to be where, you know, this is one of those things where I'm full on like libertarian for the most part, you know, just let the marketplace decide. But this is one of those things where I had to let my libertarian standpoint kind of go to the wayside just because it created a more comfortable environment for comedians.
So you're a Ron Paul guy.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, well, I guess I was back in the day. Now he's probably one of those casino audience members.
Well, you were asking about like podcast, radio, and TV. Like, there's some clubs that you got to do. Like when I do Dr. Grin's in Grand Rapids, they put you on like 3 different television shows in the morning, which you got to be totally clean. And then they put you on like three or four radio stations, and you got to be clean for that.
Yeah.
So it is a challenge being completely clean when you're trying to get people to come to a show where you're going to be dropping, you know, fuck and everything else.
Yeah, I know that always fucked me up in the past when they would go, "Hey man, just let it fly, let it loose." Remember, these are soccer moms that are listening. I'm like, why am I even on this radio show to begin with if this is mainly soccer moms? Soccer moms aren't coming to the fucking Dog show to begin with.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
No.
Unless their husband,
Exactly.
Unless it's like date night or something.
Hey, and talking about runs, you done them triple runs, any of them? Because I have never, but I have heard they are absolutely ridiculous, like 14 hours in between shows.
No, I have never done the infamous triple runs, which apparently is a rite of passage for any up and coming road comic. But I think that I kind of passed my time on that. I just did, you know what I'm saying? Like, I've done the road. I've done the 17-hour road trips. I've slept in the trunk of my car. Like, I don't need to go back and do the Tribble Run boot camp at this point.
No, but it kills me when I'll run into a comedian who'll tell me, yeah, I just got done with the Tribble Run. And I'm like, well, what exactly did that consist of? And he's like, well, we had a show in Montana. And then we had a day and a half to get to Seattle. And I was like, to Seattle? I mean, just all over the freaking place, man.
Yeah, through mountains.
Through mountains, absolutely. You better have a decent car.
But you've done all that, Frank. Like, you've traveled the whole country.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I just never did a triple run like you kind of was doing it before then. So
what's one of your worst hell gigs? This is what I always like to ask.
Ooh. It was a corporate show in Michigan for the largest nudist colony in Michigan.
Yeah.
And like you enter the room and everybody's stark naked and they all have their own white towel that they put on the chair that they sit on. And it was just hard keeping these motherfuckers' attention, So I started ripping on people based on what I'm seeing. Like a dude with big ass saucer nipples, I remember calling them saucers. Pissed him off. And normally you wouldn't know that kind of intimate thing about somebody, but it's on.
Right. But normally, yeah. I mean, that's crazy that you could, and I've heard about these nudist camp gigs, and I've heard sometimes even the comedian gets on stage and performs in the nude.
Yeah. Oh, shit. Yeah, they'll try to tell you, oh, take your clothes off, man. And fuck you guys. I'm here to do the show.
Right.
But,
so they just weren't.
One of the hells.
They just weren't having it. Like they're like, yeah, we're so comfortable in our bodies. You can go ahead and make fun of it. So we're not going to laugh anyway. We're not, because a lot of times when I'm trying to just wrap my head around the psychology here.
Hurting cats, man. It was terrible. They wanted to get music on and fucking dance naked, get back to it.
Right. You were like the background entertainment for their already existing naked party at the nudist camp, and that's what a lot of.
It was a couple years here, dog, that I was getting the freakiest shows. Like I was getting 3 different swinger parties I got booked to do.
Now, how do you even do comedy at a swinger party?
Oh, it's definitely weirder than the nudist crowd because these people are seriously trying to get their fuck on, and there's never a spotlight because it's like roaches. Everybody wants to be in the fucking dark, so they can hear you, they see where you're standing, but there's no spotlight for you ever at those things.
Yeah, I would think that it's like comedy would be like just one enormous cock block at a swingers party. You know what I'm saying?
It does have that effect as well, or whatever. But yeah. What about you, man? What was one of the fucked up ones you had to do?
I think one of well, I think pretty much every corporate show I've ever done has been fucked up in some way, shape, or form. Either because of the audience, they're just not necessarily there for that. It's like these Christmas parties, they pay really well a lot of times, but you're also like, half that crowd was essentially forced to be there. And, even if it's just the spouse of the person who works at that company that has to go in order to impress the boss. You know what I'm saying? Or you get on, and it's the worst possible sound system. They've got the gooseneck microphone attached to the half podium that normally they would use for like the PTA meeting.
Oh gosh, I hate that shit. Yeah.
But I think some of my worst gigs were like in colleges, actually, for college kids. Like not so much the senior citizens in the casinos, but nowadays, not even nowadays. I haven't done a whole lot of college gigs, but it used to be like when you're doing the lunchroom at 6 o'clock at night on college campus, and none of them are paying attention whatsoever.
No, that's the worst in the damn cafeteria. And they don't realize you're getting paid top dollar from their tuition to be there.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't think they care, even if they did realize that. And that's why I would much rather go into a bar or a club that's off the beaten path, where you bring in comedy as a special event. You've got a starving crowd. They're ready for action. They're going to participate. I like doing the audience interaction, because I would rather have an audience heckling me and interacting with me than the audience that is just being loud and disruptive and not paying attention. I always say the worst thing you can do at a comedy show is sit on your hands and do nothing. Throw a beer at me, I'll probably fucking take a drink. I want the interaction. You know what I'm saying? Wouldn't you rather be heckled, or would you rather, like, if you've got, isn't the worst where you have a crowd of people in there and they're just talking at the top of their lungs? They're not even heckling. They're just talking very loudly and being disruptive.
I get into their conversations, man. If I hear anything disruptive, I go after that shit. I remember the old days being an opening act and watching some of these headliners who I didn't realize at the time they were clueless in how to deal with heckling and disruptive tables. You'd see the guy, and I know you've had to have seen this in the past, the headliner that looks over at the table being disruptive, and then he kind of just rolls his eyes to the crowd.
Yes.
Like, what a puss move that is.
Yeah,
man,
like,
it's a steer show.
Yeah. So he's like acknowledging to the rest of the crowd that he knows that they're being disruptive, but he's like, well, hey, my hands are tied. Nothing I can really do about it. You're exactly right. It's a total pussy move. Go after him. Who cares?
Yeah. So, and I know you're the same way, because I've heard about enough of your shows that you get in the crowd fast.
Well, I like to work the crowd. I've heard my fucking dumb, lame jokes enough times. I like to try to come up with some organic stuff on the fly and in the moment. And for me, like, that's the real art form of stand-up, is when you can talk freely and openly, honestly, from the heart, still keep it funny nonstop, go into material as needed, come out of it as needed, but for the most part, try to create a completely unique show each and every time. Easier said than done. Yeah,
it is. But it keeps it fresh for you too.
Exactly. And you do a lot of impressions and characterizations and things like that. I wish I had that kind of a talent to where I kind of have to just create characters out of the audience members. If one of them has a weird fucking voice or something, I'll do an impression of that guy. But I can't do like celebrity impressions or anything like that.
Well, I like being able to mix it up with the impressions, but like jumping into the crowd and making stuff on the fly, doing improv, absolutely. Jim Wiggins, who I'm sure you've come across through the years.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he used to say that. He's like, young man, you want to make every show different for you. And I'm like, oh, okay. Because so many guys do their cookie cutter shit. By the end of the week at any comedy club, they're acting their pauses by fucking heart.
Yes. Yeah, they've got their gestures are scripted. I've even worked with guys who you see their act for 4 sets in a row, and they even have like their staggered, can't think, like where they're sort of acting like they can't think of the next line. They're going you know what I mean? But they do it that way every single time. Yeah,
I call that bullshit improv. You knew where you were going the whole time, motherfucker.
Yeah, for sure. What's some of your latest impressions that you've done or that you've worked on? You
can probably hear it in my voice right now. It's like I'm a little congested right now, but Liam Neeson's one of the ones that I've been peppering in with Christopher Walken and ripping it up pretty good with those two.
Right.
People don't get tired of Walken or Liam Neeson,
Yeah, and those two could be put into so many different comedic scenarios that the material probably just writes itself.
Dude, I've got this one that I've been working on that I'll do this weekend in Chippewa Falls, Celebrity Kindergarten. And everybody in the class is 5, but they're all famous. And I got both of them in it, plus, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Chris Rock, Bob Dylan, just a slew. But basically, this weekend I'm probably doing the impression everyone in the class has a cold.
All right.
Just because it's going to sound like that shit anyway, you know?
Right. Perfect. Hey, you should do like an entire set just as Chris Rock.
It's Chris Rock. I love it. It was funny, too, because Chippewa Falls, if there is a black dude at this show, I'll be surprised. It's a pretty white area. I don't think anyone's going to get too offended.
No, they won't be at all. I mean, I've played there many times, and it seems like the raunchier you get, the more they like it. Now that, you never know, but it is Wisconsin. It is a drinking crowd. Do you drink a whole lot when you're on stage? So it's a mixed bag.
Oh yeah. I drink before and on. Yeah, definitely. It's like the only way you can find out if you're good at something is do it while you got a buzz.
Yeah, that's a good idea. That's an excellent point. The only way you can find out if you're good at something is to do it while you're drunk.
Yeah. So I plan on firing it the fuck up at the Sandbar.
Very cool. Yeah, it's gonna and Wisconsin, it's gonna be a drinking crowd. It's gonna be a rowdy crowd. Like I said, they're already sold out. They've been sold out for all of their shows coming up this year. The Sandbar and Grill, Chippewa Falls, Wisconsin. Seth and the crew will treat you right. Frank, where are you calling from? You're from Detroit, right?
Yep, but right now I'm in Wisconsin because I'm just doing these casinos up here.
Oh, very cool. And then you're going to stop in Saturday night at Chippewa Falls. So perfect. Good routing.
Yes, sir.
And America's Got Talent. I thought you were set up on that. I thought that was some bullshit editing. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, dude, they edited the fuck out of it. They actually, oh my word. They cut out my entire set because I got into an argument with Howard Stern in Vegas. And Vegas was an empty theater. There was no crowd, just judges. And the round that I had in St. Louis at the Fox Theater was 3,500 people, and standing ovation pushed through to Vegas, but the only one against me was Howard Stern in St. Louis. So when I get to Vegas, as soon as I'm walking out on the stage, oh, it's you. I'm offended by your presence on the stage, and I'm against you being here. And it just starts hammering me. And I go, more people have tried to keep you off the radio than on it. And then he fucking lost his temper. And then by the time it was all edited out, they just cut out my set completely. And all these people from the film schools were like, that's the most bullshit editing. People don't go from dry to wet with these obvious breaks and cuts in the tape. They're like, you guys ought to be ashamed.
Yes, you can tell that even as an audience member watching it. You might not know exactly how that stuff takes place behind the scenes, but you can sort of feel that something is off. And that is it's just a fucked up way to bring people into the comedy industry, because they're not necessarily looking for the best person, the most talented person, the person that they can put out live on the road, getting it done, like road dogs such as you and I. They're looking for the people that they can generate ratings from during that pre-season tryout. We're going to show you all the wacky guys, all the weirdos, all the freakazoids. And sometimes it's like, here's a perfectly legitimate professionally touring headliner who's been through the works. He's been to boot camp. He's got his shit polished and down pat to where he can perform for any crowd any night of the week. And this is the guy that really deserves the chance. And instead, they're going to put through the dude who has like maybe 10 open mics under his belt, but the audience loves him for that 10 minutes that he's on stage because he's doing something really fucking crazy. But then the true traveling road professional, such as yourself, gets the fucking hatchet job in the editing room.
Oh, God, yeah. Oh, God, yeah, Jared. I'll tell you what. I was so fucking pissed off. I was livid. And I thought, you know what? And then the only thing I can do is use the fucking credit. That's it.
Yeah, absolutely.
On the show, but it wasn't like where I liked how they treated me at all.
Right. You know, and now this in this day and age, Frank, when we've got YouTube and we've got Facebook live videos, and we can all just reach out to the exact type of crowd that's going to already tune in, appreciate it, not have to go through the audition line, and then come out and see your live show wherever you're going to be that weekend. You know, you can now build your own audience without any of that horse shit.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
And that's what grassroots comedy's all about.
And I don't know if you remember, that was one of the last times I talked to you. I was working on a movie and casting actors to it, and it's called The Italy Boys. And I wrote it and producing it right now. And dude, just a couple days ago, I signed a guy that. Did you ever see the movie Heat?
Yes.
Okay, you know the bad guy that De Niro tries to kill from his crew, Wayne Grow.
Yeah, what's that? Kevin Gage. Kevin Gage.
Yeah, he's from Wisconsin. I had no idea. I was doing a show at Rookies, and the owner is like, "Yeah, I can get Kevin Gage," and he's not, a huge guy, but he's known enough and recognizable, and plays a hell of a good bad guy.
That's awesome, Kevin Gage. Yes, he works the door up at Rookies, and sometimes is the bar dude. It's so fucking cool having a legitimate movie badass.
Man, check it out. So he ends up going back to California, and he hooks up with this girl, ends up having a baby, and now he not only lives out there, like he was just in Vancouver filming a movie with Tom Sizemore, but now he's like a constant working guy.
That is awesome, dude. And he's going to be in your movie?
Oh, yeah. But we got people like Billy Gardell, Mike from Mike and Molly, Tom Sizemore. You know who I wanted, but it turned out that we can get him, but we don't want him anymore, is Michael Madsen.
Really?
Yeah, they said he is so terrible on set that you got to it costs you more money on your insurance policy and trying to keep them in line and all this other shit. So nobody's even working them.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've just been putting together. We got an offer right now out to Liam Hemsworth, and we put the offer out. 4 days after we put the offer out, that shit breaks news for Yahoo about him and Miley splitting up. And my lawyer contacted his agent and extended it an extra 30 days just because of going through all that shit.
And that's the whole thing. It's like you get all the pieces in play to get something going, and then you have too much of the human factor. And when it comes to like actors and comedians and artists and entertainers and musicians, we're all so fucked up in the head. It's almost like anytime a movie gets pulled off, anytime anybody in this industry does like anything, I'm just fucking impressed that they pulled it off. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because there's so many X factors at play where the whole fucking thing could come crashing down. I totally respect and admire guys like you, Frank, who keep going out there and trying to put out these projects, getting shit done, traveling around the country at the same time. Like, that's a hell of an enormous workload, especially compared to the myth that a lot of comedians have about, or a lot of people have about comedians, that we just sit around in our own fart juice and notebooks thinking of dick jokes all day long.
Yeah, right. So playing video games or watching cartoons, it's like, no, dude.
Yeah, I get that all the time. They're like, J-Dog, must be nice. Your whole life is a vacation. I'm like, well, I travel around, but that doesn't necessarily make it a vacation.
Hey, have you had friends, though, that say, man, I think I'm going to start doing comedy?
Yeah, I want to do what you do. And I'm like, you don't want to do what I do. You want to do what you see me do, which is stand on stage getting paid to tell jokes with a drink in my hand. But there's a whole lot of shit that happens behind the scenes that most people can't do. And this is what I say, and let me know if you disagree. But there are a lot of talented performers out there that the only thing holding them back from getting to the next level is their ability to hack the road.
Yeah, that's true.
Because that's tough. Even just traveling to the show, you drive the 9 hour, you do the triple run, and then you still got to get on stage that night and bring your A game.
Fuck yeah, you do. And there's times when you know you're pulling up and changing in the fucking car because you don't have any extra time.
I've done that many times, like no extra time at all. Not even changing while driving in the car. I've got that down to a science.
Yeah, same. That's awesome.
All right, dude. Hey, I'm going to let you go. Thanks for doing this with me, man. And let's do it some more. I've got you on a lot more shows coming up, part of the Grassroots Comedy Tour. Frank Roche, everybody, master impressionist. You may have seen him on America's Got Talent. You can see him this Saturday night. All the Wisconsin people, head out. Well, actually, you probably can't see him. If you've already got tickets to the Sandbar and Grill launch of their monthly comedy night series in Chippewa Falls, then you can see Frank Roche this Saturday night. Otherwise, where else are you going to be? Or are you doing any podcasts, or what else do you have coming on?
No, I don't have any other podcasts coming up this month or whatever. Just going to be doing more casinos up here, Black Bear again, the other St. Croix in Turtle Lake. So I'll bet you the funnest show that I have this month is going to be for you at Chippewa Falls.
Yeah, man, let me know how it goes. It will be a good time. And, hey, while you're up there doing those casinos, say hello to Sammy Hagar for me.
I will. And I know exactly who you mean. All right. Well, thank you, Tear Dog.
Yeah, you bet. We'll wrap it up.